Before we start, let's take a moment to define some terminology. When we say right circular cylinder, we just mean a cylinder. And when we talk about the volume of this cylinder, we're talking about the stuff that goes inside. Now remember, when you work with cylinders, you really ought to know your volume formula, which is pi r squared, that is the area of a circle, times height. Now here we know two things. We know the volume of this cylinder is 2000 pi, and we know the height is 16 times the radius. So if our volume is 2000 pi, we can say pi r squared times height equals 2000 pi. And if the height is 16 times its radius, we can say h for height equals 16 times r. As a next step, let's go ahead and simplify some of this information. First off, with the equation on the left, we can divide both sides of the equation by pi, giving us r squared times h equals 2000. And then we can take the equation on the right and plug it into our first equation. And if we replace h with 16r, we get r squared times 16r equals 2000. As the next step, we can multiply the r's together, giving us r cubed, and we can divide both sides of the equation by 16, telling us that r cubed equals 2000 over 16. Now, at this stage, you might be tempted to plug this information into a calculator, but the truth is we can do this really quickly without a calculator. What is 16? It's 4 times 4. And what is 2000? It's 4 times 500. Notice how the 4's cancel, leaving us with 500 over 4. And remember, an easy way to divide by 4 is to cut your number in half 2 times. So 500 cut in half is 250, and 250 cut in half is 125. In other words, we know that r cubed equals 125. And if you know your cubes, what is 125? That is 5 cubed, telling us that the radius of this cylinder is 5. And if that's the case, the two quantities are equal. And remember, anytime your quantities are equal, that means the correct answer is C.